The Bosphorus shimmered like glass under the fading afternoon sun. Fairies hummed, seagulls circled lazily, and the breeze carried the scent of roasted chestnuts from a street cart nearby. Elchin stood on the Galata Bridge, her camera hanging loosely around her neck, the strap twisted and frayed from years of use. Photography had become her quiet rebellion, a way to capture the world without explaining herself to it. If you like the video, please subscribe and comment. She framed the skyline through her lens. Domes, minarets, the slow-moving boats. Istanbul had a rhythm she could never escape, even when she'd tried. The city remembered people, especially the ones who tried to leave. Just as she clicked the shutter, someone brushed past her shoulder. She turned, half annoyed, and froze. Barış Arduç, same sharp eyes, same careful smile, the kind that never showed everything. It had been 4 years since she'd last seen him, at a film set where they'd said polite goodbyes that felt like lies. He'd gone to London for a long shoot. She'd stayed behind to rebuild her quiet life, pretending she'd moved on. "Elchin?" he said, almost disbelieving. She swallowed, forcing herself to sound casual. "You still walk into people instead of saying hello?" He laughed, softer than she remembered. "I didn't see you. Or maybe I didn't believe it was you." "You never do," she said, trying to smile. But her voice cracked just a little. They stood there, two ghosts of what used to be, surrounded by noise and light and strangers who had no idea that time had just stopped between them. Barış looked older, but not in a bad way. His beard was trimmed, his hair a little messy under a dark cap. There was something restless about him, like he was always halfway between staying and leaving. "So," he said, breaking the silence, "you still take photos of strangers?" "Sometimes," she said. "They don't argue back." He smiled, but there was something in his eyes, something unspoken, like a secret trying to surface. He leaned on the railing beside her, watching the ferries below. "You still hate goodbyes?" "Only when they mean something." The wind picked up, carrying the sound of a street musician playing an old Turkish song on a violin. It was a melody they both knew. It was the song that had played the night they first met, in a crowded art cafe where she'd spilled coffee on his script. He looked at her camera again. "Still the same one?" She nodded. "It sees more than I want to." He tilted his head. "Then maybe it can tell me what you've been hiding." She didn't answer. Because how do you explain 4 years of pretending not to miss someone? Finally, he said quietly, "I'm back for a while." "Maybe longer. Work?" she asked. He hesitated. "Something like that." There it was, the first lie between them. She could feel it. He had that same look he used to get when something was weighing on him, when he wanted to protect her from a truth she hadn't asked for yet. Before she could say anything, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Don't trust him. Not this time. Her breath caught. Barış noticed her reaction. "Everything okay?" She slipped the phone into her pocket. "Yeah, just work stuff." He studied her face, unconvinced. "You sure?" "I'm fine, Barış." The air between them thickened, not with anger but memory. Every glance, every pause carried a history neither of them could untangle in a single conversation. He finally said, "Can I buy you coffee?" "One of those peace offering things?" She looked at him, really looked, and for a second the years fell away. She wanted to say yes. She wanted to pretend the message didn't exist, but she also knew Istanbul had its own way of warning you. Maybe another day, she said softly. He nodded, though the disappointment flickered behind his calm. Another day then. As he turned to leave, she lifted her camera again and snapped a photo of him walking away, his silhouette against the golden water. The city lights beginning to wake behind him. She reviewed the image. Her finger hovered over the screen, and then she saw it. Behind him, blurred but unmistakable, a dark figure watching them from the edge of the bridge. Her heart skipped. That's when she knew. Today wasn't ordinary, and whatever secret Barış had come back with, it had just found her too. That night, Elçin couldn't sleep. The message kept flashing in her mind like a flickering street light. Don't trust him. Not this time. She sat by the window of her apartment in Cihangir, camera on her lap, scrolling through the photo she'd taken of Barış. The image was perfect in every technical sense. Light, composition, movement. But it wasn't the photograph that bothered her. It was the shadow behind him. She zoomed in, grain sharpening with every click. The figure stood still, half hidden behind the rail. Dark coat, no face visible. The kind of thing you'd dismiss as coincidence if your heart wasn't already pounding. Her phone buzzed again. A new message. He's not who he says he is. No name. No number. Just the words. She locked the screen and tossed the phone onto the couch. Her first instinct was denial. Maybe it was spam. Maybe someone was playing a joke, but she knew better. Istanbul was full of ghosts, some living, some not. The next morning, she found herself outside Karaköy Coffee House, a small place she and Barış used to visit when both were still trying to figure out who they wanted to be. She hadn't planned to go there. Her feet had just led her, like muscle memory wrapped in regret. Inside, the air smelled of cinnamon and roasted beans. The barista gave her a polite smile, but before she could order, she heard a voice from behind her. I thought you said another day. Barış. She turned. He was leaning against the counter, wearing the same black cap, his tone half teasing but softer than usual. He looked tired, not physically, but like someone carrying more than he was ready to admit. I didn't say which day, she replied. He smiled at that. Then I guess today's the day. They sat by the window overlooking the street. For a few minutes, they just talked. About nothing and everything. Movies, work, how the city changed. How it hadn't. It felt familiar. Too familiar. When he excused himself to take a call, her eyes drifted to his bag left on the chair. Something metal poked out from the half-open zipper. Not a phone, not a key. It looked like a recorder. She hesitated. Her instincts as a photographer kicked in. Always observe first. But curiosity was stronger than caution. She took a quick photo of the bag before he returned. When he sat back down, his expression had shifted slightly. You've been quiet, he said. Thinking about something? She smiled faintly. Always. He studied her for a moment, then leaned forward. Can I tell you something strange? Please do. I didn't come back for work, he said. Not really. Elchin's heart slowed. Then why? He hesitated. There's something I need to find. Something I lost here a long time ago? She almost asked what it was, but his eyes told her not to. So instead she asked, "And you thought you'd find it on the Galata Bridge?" He smiled without humor. Maybe. After coffee, they walked together down the narrow street toward the waterfront. The city buzzed around them, but between them hung a quiet tension neither could name. "Do you ever think about the past?" she asked suddenly. "All the time," he said. "But the past doesn't always want to be remembered." "Maybe some parts do. Maybe some are better buried." Before she could respond, her phone vibrated again. She pulled it out carefully. Another message. "He's lying to you. Ask him about the project." Her chest tightened. She slipped the phone back into her coat and forced a smile. "Everything okay?" Barış asked. "Yeah," she said, lying this time. Later that evening, Elchin sat in her apartment, reviewing the new photo she'd taken of his bag. She enhanced the image slightly, adjusting the brightness until a small label came into focus on the recorder. It read, "October Project, Confidential." Her breath caught. She'd heard that name before, not from him, but from an online article last month about a film production that mysteriously halted after its lead actor vanished during shooting. No details had ever been released. Only one actor had been rumored to be part of it. Barış Arduç. She leaned back, staring at the ceiling. So the messages were right. He was hiding something. But what if it wasn't about her at all? The next morning, she found an envelope slid under her door. No name. No return address. Inside was a single photo, one she hadn't taken. It showed her, standing with Barış on the bridge yesterday. The same moment she had photographed. But this one was from a different angle. Someone else had been watching them. Written on the back, in uneven handwriting, were 5 words. He brought the secret home. Elchin sat at her kitchen table, the photo still in her hand. He brought the secret home. The words felt heavier every time she read them. The rational part of her brain wanted to believe this was all a misunderstanding, that Barış was just working on a project he wasn't allowed to talk about yet. But her instincts told her something else. This wasn't just about a film. She opened her laptop and searched October Project Barış Arduç. Nothing. No cast list, no production company, no press release. Only a few forum posts by fans asking why the project had been quietly canceled 6 months ago. One user claimed that the footage had